Welcome back to World's News, where we present you the most important and funny news from the past week. Now, here's a little reminder that this is a very new channel and we'd love it if you gave our content a chance. Anyways, this week's topics are the Colombian election, how water shortage might be solved, and that the US Supreme Court ended the right to abortion. Apart from that, we really hope that you can enjoy our content in the best way possible. But let's get started with the first topic. The Colombian election. We've talked about this election several times in the past. That was mostly because TikTok played a big role in it, as the presidential candidates in Colombia tried to get to the Colombian youth through TikTok. Now, this election is over and former guerrilla fighter Gustavo Petro won with 50.47% of the votes last Sunday. Back in our previous video, we said that the numbers on TikTok showed a specific trend, after which Mr. Petro would have won as well. So only looking at this case, TikTok actually was a credible source for statistics on who could win this election. Anyways, who is Gustavo Petro? He is a Colombian economist, politician, senator, and as previously stated, a former guerrilla fighter. His journey began at 17 years old when he first joined the guerrilla group 19th of April movement, which later evolved into the M19 Democratic Alliance, a political party in which he was elected member of the Chamber of Representatives in 1991. From there, he continuously made his way up the ranks to be elected the South American country's first leftist head of state. Among other things, he promised, quote, "From this government that is beginning, there will never be political persecution or legal persecution. There will only be respect and dialogue." Now, this sounds like some president, am I right? But as we know, promises made for an election and the reality after the election are often two different things. But hopefully, he will stay consistent in most things he's doing to therefore modernize Colombia further. How water shortage might be solved. Water shortage is growing to be a bigger and bigger problem. In the past, mainly developing countries in warm areas had problems with severe water shortage. But as our population grows and everyone uses more water, this problem could soon concern the whole world. But this seems a bit weird, since 70% of our planet's surface is covered by it, right? Well, unfortunately, it's not that easy. Around 97.5% of the water on Earth are in the oceans or other saline water. That means that only 2.5% is fresh water. But that's not it. From these 2.5%, 69% are frozen in glaciers or ice caps. That leaves us with very little water for over 7 billion people, which is a huge problem. Now, you may be thinking that you are not using that much water, since you don't drink that much or you don't shower that long. What most people forget though is how much water is used in order to produce everyday objects. In order to produce a kilogram or 2.2 pounds of bovine meat, for example, 15,415 liters or 4,100 gallons of water are used. But the production process of many other things like nuts, eggs, or even clothes like jeans require thousands of liters and gallons of water as well. So now that I've once again explained to you how exactly we are killing our planet and extincting ourselves, let me tell you that there's a possible solution to this problem. You probably recall that over 97% of all water on Earth is saline water. Now, couldn't we just filter out the salt in order to make this water fresh water? In theory, yes, but if it was that easy, we wouldn't have that problem. The process of filtering this water is using so much energy, it's almost funny. So how do we solve this problem? Well, we need a very strong power source on or in the water which keeps the filter machine running. Yes, I've got it. Let's just build floating nuclear reactors. How's that for an idea? Well, that idea is so great that there already are designs for such desalination plants. They are thought to travel to islands or coastlines struck by drought, bringing them both clean drinking water and power. This way of producing fresh water is also one of the most expensive, but it would still be less expensive than onshore desalination plants, which have to pump seawater significant distances. So I guess floating nuclear reactors it is. But how do these desalination plants work and why are they so expensive? So what basically happens is that water is pressed through a membrane which filters out most salts or other particles under very high pressure. In order to maintain this pressure, an excessive amount of energy is needed. So these costs come from the way the energy is produced. I mean, you probably understand that nuclear reactors don't exactly have low costs. But I think that this won't be a problem if every country can profit from these vessels. Let me give you an example. Last time something threatened to extinct us from this planet, there was a big hole in the ozone layer protecting us from UV rays, and back then the United Nations worked together to seal this hole as fast as possible. And I think if we get to the point where the fresh water on this planet isn't enough for us, we'll come up with a plan on how to finance projects like these. But until then, we should try to use as little water as possible and maybe check how much water was used producing our food and clothes in order to live a more sustainable lifestyle. The US Supreme Court ended the right to abortion. Abortion is a very controversial topic. People all over the world have mixed feelings about it, especially in terms of religion. On one hand, most religions see human fetuses, yes, that is the correct plural form, as God-given life which can be ended by humans. But on the other hand, abortion is everyone's own choice. If you can provide for a child, or if you're simply not capable of taking care of a child, you shouldn't have a child. And I don't mean just not getting pregnant, which would be the better solution, but if pregnancy actually happens, people should have the right to abort until a certain point in the fetus's progression. Another factor which shouldn't be left out are pregnancies from rape. If a girl or a woman is raped and she gets pregnant, she didn't choose to be a mother, and she definitely didn't choose the father either. So maybe there could be an exception for forced pregnancies in the future, but let's hear what people like the former US President Barack Obama say about the abolishment of this constitutional right. He tweeted, quote, "Today the Supreme Court not only reversed nearly 50 years of precedent, it relegated the most intensely personal decision someone can make to the whims of politicians and ideologues attacking the essential freedoms of millions of Americans." Quote end. Apart from that, he called the country to join the activists who are opposing this abolishment in their protests. And the social networks are full of people wondering what's going on with the Supreme Court. And at this point, we at World's News want to clearly say that abortion is a human right which shouldn't be abolished. That abolishment was a hard hit for women's rights, and in 2022 we shouldn't have to have this debate anymore. These were the most important and unfortunately not that funny news from the past week. If you've got any suggestions on topics that we missed out on, or if you have tips on how we could make our content even better, please let us know in the comments. But now to this week's bonus fact. The Statue of Liberty was given to the US by France as a gift of friendship in 1885. The 151 feet or 93 meter sized sculpture was designed by Frédéric Auguste Bartholdi.